Hey, if you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, please head over to patreon.com.
What a maneuver!
What's up, everybody? We just got done watching the Pasadena Regional License Exam, and it sure was a doozy. I mean, who had Toru 2 on air, taking the whole event, being Swiss champ? I know I didn't. I have the bracket to prove it. So I did not have that marked down. I was surprised. My bracket was fairly accurate. I was doing pretty good up until about the semifinals. Neither of the two decks I had pegged to go all the way made it there, right? But they did beat the decks that I had pegged to go all the way there. So they definitely went through the gauntlet anyways. But I've got all of the top 16 deck lists here, and we're just going to go over them real briefly. I'm not going to do a card by card. But we're starting with All Symbol All Might 3 as the starting character. This is Kevin Broberg, not someone you expect to see in first place, not in 16th place. But Broberg missing a top cut would be pretty rare indeed. Now, I did think that this event was going to cut to a top 8 because the last time I went to Pasadena was around the same time, and it was a cut to top 8, and so I wasn't expecting All Might 3 to do super well at this tournament. But it is a fan favorite. However, look at this list. Look at 8 action cards main board. We have 8 actions here. We have Detroit main boarded, only 14 attacks. It's a 51 card deck, so Kevin edging just a little bit over the bare minimum there, just tiptoeing over the line, if you will. And even in the sideboard, it's action, 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 which means we actually have All Might 1 and True Form in the sideboard. So this is kind of the inverse of the strategy we've seen kind of emerge since Orlando, is that One Punch Man All Might. Well, I mean, first of all Might 3 is called an 8-hander, and then you draw 3 with Detroit Smash. That's pretty close. You know, we're only a couple cards off from how we would do the combo normally, right? And we still have all these cool actions to back it up. We have a much bulkier health total that's not going to go down every turn. The only thing that we're really sacrificing is that really early turn consistency of having 7 cards to mulligan and look for the combo, but we trade that off by not being all in on the combo, right? We only have 2 cremations, so it's not the most important thing, but we have pull no punches. We can get momentum proactively, which is something I felt like this combo really needed. It was something I was kind of surprised at from the early iterations, was that we didn't have proactive ways to get momentum, but we also have a lot more defensive interaction with convenient timing. You know, it's other than that, it is very much a lot of what we've seen before. A lot of mixes, no 4Xs in the main board for foundations except Chivalrous and To the Rescue, and this is one that we usually see squeak in as a 1 or 2 of. But Kevin saying I really need to seal problem foundations, it's gonna make my life a whole lot easier. And hey, on defense, you get to ignore 1 progressive difficulty. So for a long spring turn, that could be really important. That's almost as good as +1 to all your checks to block. And we see that on a 3 difficulty foundation, right? So I am a big fan of this iteration of this deck. I'm not a big fan of the 1-punch combo in general. But this is a deck that is looking to size you up and see, okay, how do you handle interaction? Can you defend yourself from this combo? And if you can, I never even have to lose game 1 to it. We can just play like a very real back and forth game. But I do love that we have all of these all symbol actions. I'm a big fan of action decks, orange card, blue card, right? So I love this adaptation. I expect this to get played again with more powerful cards coming in set 5, you know, and maybe we see a new character for something similar to like this all symbol action shell. But I definitely don't think people are going to stop playing the One Punch Man combo unless everyone is just so heavily tech forward it's not even worth sideboarding, right? Next up in 15th place, we have Legendary Wolf Games' Myles Tyler, and he was playing Ida 1. No surprise there. Order Ida 1. A lot of attacks. I got thrown off for a second by the 24 attacks and the 42 foundations. It's a 71 card deck. So definitely prepared to sit here, play the long game, grind up some momentum. We saw idle work, which is crazy, right? A lot of filter through that. That's not a card we see a lot of people playing. The block, maybe that +2 block is something that we really wanted. We wanted something more than just another self-sacrifice, right? So again, a lot of different options here. Some more 4-ofs for some staples, right? Like E1 gets to play Fulfilled My Duty really well. But we also see Runaway. This is a card I was expecting to kind of come through and dominate the format. It's a great 5-hander style defensive card. It's really good against these Futures Now decks that are pumping numbers to the moon. On top of that, Challenging the Face was another one that you don't see represented a whole lot, but it's coming out more and more as people are playing higher health characters and needing tighter combo lines to kind of get through. So early aggression being slanted against very, very heavily right now in this format. The 71 cards has really thrown me off. I think we love all these cards. We're a big fan of all these cards, and we just don't know which ones to keep, right? We want to be prepared for every single thing, but Order has a bunch of card draw, right? Order has a lot of ways to draw a bunch of cards, so very, very, very cool stuff. Very happy to see Myles top, right? But I think that if we can maybe fix the ratios a bit, get closer to like the 55-ish card area, you know, maybe we don't need 4 Fulfilled My Duty, maybe just 3, right? Maybe trim some of these down. I think that we might have an easier time. That's just my takeaway. 71 cards seems like a lot for a 6-hander. Am I wrong? Am I wrong on that? Next up, we have PPG Abono. I've been told that they like to go by PJ at locals. They're part of the Foundation Boyz. Foundation Boyz is PPG Abono. So 4th kind on order. Not a ton of surprises here, right? Not a ton of surprises. I mean, Indiscriminate, the King Palm Slam, that's a big favorite of Andrew Holder's. Another Unfun Stuff sponsored player. Check out his channel. We've got the Discard Your Hand, Draw 3-card Secret Rare from set 1. 1 for all full cowling, 5%. I'm not saying the whole thing. Slide Tackle has been an addition that a lot of people really seem to enjoy. Covers 2 different block zones. You can add it back to your hand. And then High Engine Kick. This is another one that 4th kind just makes the best use of. Am I wrong on that? Is this not just like a 4th kind card at this point? Puts the 4 damage on it, put the 4 speed on it, draw a brand new card, you know, get through your deck faster. So 60 cards, probably more than the Andrew Holder version would like to see, but it can be tough. It can be tough cutting down a lot of these delicious order cards. You see the Runaways and the Blood Curdles on the side, the more Deadlock threats on the side. Not citing a character or Searing Glacials though. I think that's the adaptation. I think instead of Grasping Tape Toss, I think I'd rather see Searing Glacial, but I could be wrong. I don't play a ton of order 4th kind, and Searing Glacial can sometimes hurt you more than it hurts your rival, even if you're both, you know, way deep into Deadlock. And so Grasping Tape Toss, getting rid of just the 2 that matter instead of nuking your board as well. Maybe that's just their preference. Sato 1. Order Sato 1, I believe this is Dakota Simmons. And they got 13th place. And so this is not an Indiscriminate shock deck. That's probably the craziest part to me. The craziest part to me is we are all in on kicks. We are Acceleration Kick deck. We are an Extend deck. We have the 3 Jolts. I mean, Jolt is like an honorary kick at this point. Jolt's like every keyword. You put it in everything. But this deck just seems mega, mega aggressive, right? 51 cards. We don't care about the block spread. We're going to be slinging these attacks. We're going to be clearing our card pool. And our numbers are just going to be amazing. We have a repeatable +1 damage enhance that a lot of order decks are missing. A lot of order decks are not willing to put Making a Stand in if it only affects like Electric Jolts and Indiscriminate Shocks. And, you know, in this one it'd be Reciprocal Burst 2, right? But Rikido Sato makes sure that at least on 2 of our attacks for the turn, right? It's twice per turn for the stun. Yeah. So at least 2 of our attacks per turn, we can get the +1 repeatable damage. We can fill that gap in between Electric Jolt and Burst, and I think that's really cool. I think that's pretty important for these longer streams, right? For these streams where you need to basically be drawing a bunch of cards to make the card pull clearing count, make the futures now really be the cherry on top for that stream that you're looking to do. And this is the face of order aggro. Tato 1 has been topping events for a long time, and he's always going to be a threat. Then we have another order deck. We've got Order 4th Kind again, this time main boarding the Blood Curdles. How big is this deck? 68 cards? 68? My goodness, yeah. We don't even have the 4 high engine kick. Our spread is all over the... Okay. It's pretty similar on the spread. We went for one more ice slide over the 4 of engine kicks. Interesting. This one's pretty interesting. Okay, so a lot of the same stuff, right? This one looks like a deck where we had a lot of really nice sideboard cards, but we just couldn't bear to sideboard them. That's really where I'm at with this one. This looks like a deck where we could have definitely jammed some stuff, cleaned up our sideboard a bit, right? We're maining the Blood Curdles, but we also have the plus ultra block. We also have the fruit of our labors for card pull clog. We also have citywide, right? So I think that there's definitely, you gotta pick. I think you gotta pick between stuff like Can't Escape Me and Citywide Crisis and say one of these is gonna hate on card draw the way I need it to. Right? Neither one affects a character ability anyways. So I feel like we gotta pick between these. Other than that, very much your normal run-of-the-mill order deck, just this one is so big. For a 5-hander, it's so big. Now we have another All Might 3. Oh, sorry, I'm tripping super hard. This is Tyler Schroeder. This is 12th place. Tyler Schroeder. He's Vegas local. It blanked in my head to announce him because I know him. I'm so sorry about that. I went, oh yeah, this is Tyler's deck in my head. But you guys don't know that. So this is Tyler Schroeder, who got 12th place. That's my fault. Next up, we have Richard Dobson on All Might 3. So the All symbol has been showing up in a big way recently, right? We've seen Eraserhead 2. We're seeing a lot more All Might 3 being played. 62 cards. All right, that's not too bad for All Might 3. We don't have the character in here, but it says All Might 3. So we just gotta believe, right? We just gotta believe. But so for a character that draws so many cards, you know, for a symbol that draws a bunch of these cards and really wants to build a big stage, the good symbol really, typically at least, as of right now, doesn't ready foundations a whole bunch. It'll build them, right? It'll build them as it goes with cards like Missouri Smash or I'm trying to think. Well, Precious Lesson. You could include Precious Lesson, but things like Hardened Uppercut. But that kind of thing is really cute and techy and synergy based, and you know, a symbol like this, the All symbol, All Might 3 decks, they're trying to draw a whole bunch of cards, play a whole bunch of cards, and accumulate this critical mass of stats, right? They're going to threaten that you can't go into deadlock, because our deadlock threats are just like huge numbers. Just huge numbers is our deadlock. Right? We have tech for anti-momentum strategies that can really slow you down. And this one only running 1 to the rescue, right? So that's a big difference. We see the player expression. The difference in the player choice is one of them has 1 to the rescue on the whole deck list. One has 4 to the rescue on the whole deck list. They both ended up in the same bracket. So neither one is right, you know, for this specific tournament. And I think it's really neat that you can see the different player choices throughout the different decks. Other than that, we have a ton of zeros. We're king of the zero diffs. We took over Chaos's role as the zero diff king, right? Very, very interesting stuff. I think that this is a deck that is going to just drown you with the weight and like the pressure of how many cards it has. You're gonna be so scared. You're gonna be like, man, they only have like 15 cards left in their deck. They have to have it, right? They have to have whatever they've been digging for. We've drawn so many cards through Rapid Punches and Missouri Smashes and Valiant Assaults and Final Smash, tutoring what we want to draw with our character. This is a deck that's going to make you think that it always has it, And I mean, it's built to always have it. Next up in 10th place, we have Daniel Mosley. This one was pretty hyped for a lot of people. Getting that good symbol TetsuTetsu onto the board. This is a very cool deck because of cards like TetsuTetsu Fist. You know, this is something you're pretty much only going to see in TetsuTetsu, right? Because of the TetsuTetsu enhance. You discard a card, you build a card, you draw a card. That's a, you know, free foundation basically. You get to build a free face down, very cool stuff. And it's also just pretty fast, but I think the filter, build, and draw is definitely the main attraction here. But then the other TetsuTetsu signature card is Thrashing, which is basically how you keep up, right? This is kind of the reason to play a 5-hander on these symbols, I think. This is a big part of Nomu being successful right now, I believe. You know, is TetsuTetsu Thrashing, and the fact that it combos Valiant Assault is also kind of a big deal. Because we are a character that wants to discard for fuel. And without one with nature now, we're just going full damage, baby. We're full sending it. So, very heartbreaking to see this deck lose in Top Cuts. I thought it could have made a much deeper run. I think that there was either some weird confusion. I don't have the full story, but I do think that there was a moment where we faltered and we could have had a game, but I think that was only game 2 anyways, and you know, Toru 2 being Swiss champ would have gone first for game 3, so there's no use in crying over spilled milk. But man, it'd be cool to see if this deck gets iterated on and in set 5 comes back with a vengeance. Next up, we have Unfun Stuff's Nicholas Ragan on Evil Endeavor 2. The bad dad himself on Father's Day was my pick to win it all. And this deck is nasty. This deck is absolutely gross. It's got stat monsters like Tongue Whip. It's got stat monsters like Hellflame Stomp. Ignited Arrow's not one you want to block. Vile Seizing's a staple. But the real meat and bones of it, I think personally, is Winged Nomu. Because we have, look at all these high attacks, right? It's a zone overload deck except for these 2 lows. It's got a little bit of a schmitz. Got a little bit of a zone mix on you. You got to play it a little honest. But if it wears you out trying to block the wrong attacks, like Compression Sphere and Turn to Dust, which it's very interesting that neither of these are 4 of before the other. This makes me think that Nick wants to use Compression Sphere, maybe not specifically, but a big part of it for the block response, to get excited for Blood Off. That's a play that's been around since set 3 drop, and I just haven't really seen it in Top Cuts yet. I haven't seen anyone perform it on the stream, so that's very cool stuff. Very cool that this is finally top the evil symbol, finally getting some love. We have a great character for playing defense without blocking, so why not super regen, right? Why not? I like this deck a lot. Evil Gaze and Showdown. I like actions a lot, man. I'm seeing so many cool decks with a whole bunch of actions. Does every deck have... Okay, so the 5-hand size TetsuTetsu doesn't have one main. 4th kind does have it main, but these are pretty important ones in the side. I was going to say, we've had a lot of actions in these Top Cuts, and I think that that's pretty cool. So, yeah, Endeavor on Evil has some real steroid attacks, some really nice stun buttons to press, but it's a lot of numbers. I mean, these are numbers, difficulty reductions, and then like readying foundations, like some ramp. These are our pseudo ramp, right? And then numbers, health gain is kind of a number. You can think of it like damage reduction. Same thing, damage reduction and bonus damage numbers. Then you have card pull clog and card draw. So the vast majority of this deck is looking to outstat you, make sure that you have terrible stats, I have great stats, and that's just good, wholesome, honest UFS, or universes, I guess, now at its core. So very, very cool stuff. The 3 of Tongue Whip is kind of interesting for sure. I agree with that, especially since we could have used another low block instead of some high blocks, right? So we could have used another low block, but without like a ton of extra synergy, we're not even playing Creepy Realization. Maybe it's just not like as good as it's cracked up to be, or as good as it is in like Water and Life decks. That could be it, but Either way, I was really cheering for my teammate Nick Ragan. Super excited he made top 16 playing a character that he's been working on for a while now. So congratulations to him. But next up, we've got Kyle Goguen, probably butchering that name, but playing all Midnight. The deck he's been on for a hot minute, and we've got some spicy actions here, right? We've got some spicy actions on the all symbol decks. Red Guard mainboarded, love that. Love that, dude. Saw that do all kinds of work against Recovery Girl. Then we saw the Mighty Punch not really come into play. Even though the Recovery Girl was going to deadlock and stuff, we just couldn't draw it at the right time. We ended up removing it on a cycle. You know, we cycled before Recovery Girl, but if we could have milled Recovery Girl's discard pile away, I think we would have had a much better chance of advancing to top 8. I had Kyle moving on to top 8 on the back of Somnambulism over Recovery Girl, and it just didn't matter. She got too established. You know, Sean O'Brien is an excellent player, been around the block for a hot minute, a champion in his own right, and you know, we couldn't assemble the pieces at the right time as a complete package, and that really sucks. But he's been working on this deck a lot. He's got tons of spam foundations, tons of numbers everywhere, right? We talk about the all symbol having all these repeatable +1s, pretty big deal. We have the spooky for the speed hate into the damage reduction trait, and then we also got to see people doing things like using Unexpected Hero on our own attack, and then using stuff like You're So Obvious to reset the speed and then get bonus damage. And so I think I'd like to see that more in the main board. It's my only real critique is I feel like You're So Obvious has to be in your main board right now. Right? Everyone's pumping numbers somewhere. Everyone's reducing numbers somewhere. And if you have an all punch lineup, this feels like it's gotta be main boarded, right? Either way, I'm very excited for Kyle. His name has shown up on a bunch of top cuts lists, and I'm interested to see if he sticks with Midnight going into set 5, because there's going to be a lot of shenanigans you can do with a character who digs through their deck like Midnight does. Next up, we have Jeffrey Kahn, Rochester CCG's very own Kansas City Regional License Exam winner, playing the character that got him there, Order 4th Kind. I don't know if this is the exact same deck. I don't have the other one brought up in front of me, but we can see that there's other decks that are obviously derivative of this one. You know, not a ton of surprises. The ratios are a little interesting to me. You know, some cards I personally jam out of 4 of are not here, but then there's a few cards that I don't normally put into a deck like this. Like, I've actually taken most of the shock treatments out of all my decks in favor of league invitations. It's just like a spot that they fight over for. We have one Fulfilled My Duty, which I waffle on a lot, being a 5-hander. Makes a lot more sense to include, but we only have it as a 1 of. You know, only 2 self-sack is something that, like, it's hard to wrap my brain around, but at the same time, this is the build that's been working for him, right? This obviously is a championship caliber deck, and so I cannot dispute the choices are in here. But it looks like it's prepared for a little bit of everything, right? It looks like it has a lot of the same interaction points, but if you notice, compared to the earlier ones, we did make a choice on what to side, right? We did put things like the citywide crisis into the sideboard. We don't have You Can't Escape Me and citywide crisis as overlapping draw hate. So definitely, I would say this is a more tuned list, right? Not just because it's smaller, but just because you can see the ratios are something where we made some sacrifices, but we also said, okay, this is a 1 difficulty unique foundation that I want to have multiple copies of. Next up, we have Good Symbol, Marven Emory, All Might 3. This is another deck that I believe Marven has played almost exclusively this whole time. And I don't know if I've ever seen them play a different deck. I'm not saying they don't. I just don't know if I've seen it. So Marven has the Good Symbol, not the All Symbol. Managed to make it further than the other 2 decks. Does this mean the Good Symbol is definitively the best symbol for All Might 3? I don't know. You tell me down in the comments below. But I will say, we do have a lot of that interaction that I'm begging for here, right? We've got Heroic Strike for more stun. We have Full No Punches for our deadlock threat. We have the You're So Obvious in the main board. Manly Passionate Guys, one of my personal favorites. And again, we have very few 4-outs. We're very, very teched in a lot of different places. Raiding the Villain Hideout is a very interesting one to me. Raiding the Villain Hideout is not one that we see a lot, but maybe now that One with Nature's banned, maybe this is something that we have to maybe switch over to. So very, very interesting stuff coming out of this deck. But good symbol All Might 3 has been around for a long time, so not surprised to see Marven piloting it to a top 6 finish. Also, Undefeated at Locals. Go check out their YouTube. How did I almost forget that? I'm the worst at this. Go check out Undefeated at Locals. Both Marven Emory and Nick Jordy, who played Chaos Dobby 2 to a top 8 finish. Both these guys are in top 8. Have Undefeated at Locals, right? As a YouTube channel that posts gameplay. So go check out Undefeated at Locals. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I think they're doing daily uploads, guys. So if you are starved for gameplay content, Undefeated at Locals has you covered. But it's really cool to see both of them. They ended up at 5th and 6th place respectively, which is kind of cool. They ended up right next to each other in the standings. So this is Chaos Dobby 2. It is playing Meteor Shower, Home Run Comet, Double Jab, Twisting Azure, Freezer Burn. It's all 4 diffs. This is the deck we were afraid of. This is the deck that everyone was afraid of at the beginning of set 3. They're like, a 7-hander with this much damage pump, it's just going to run you over. He's not even going to need action cards. We do have lots of action cards. We have some very cool ones like I Am Here, which is very, you know, this is a card that shares 2 symbols with us. We can pick it up. I don't know how often we're going to use it to commit a foundation and get +3 damage, but, you know, it is something we can pick up if we have to. So very, very cool stuff. Ways to get speed. This is kind of like replacing Season the Advantage if you hit an attack, which is kind of nice. But the 4 of Cremation is the big star here. And I love the idea of just, I have all these 4 divs. Meteor Shower keeps me incredibly consistent, right? Home Run Comet means you have to respect my offense. You can't just block everything and hope I don't check well. Yeah, I hope I don't check well. And then Double Jab Pummel makes sure that we check well. So it's Dobby, it's aggro, it's chaos, it's aggro, it's in your face. It's got some pretty important foundation for defense like Decoy Duplicate. But for the most part, this deck is looking to get all over your face and just melt you out. I mean, oh, I'm being blown away. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We have 15 zero divs, all at 3 of copies each. We couldn't decide between them, right? We couldn't decide between which zero div, so we said we'll take them all in equal amounts. So I think this deck is pretty cool. This is a great deck to take to your locals, I think, too, by the way. This is very, you know, damn friendly. Like, just let's see how far we get by playing +3 damage on everything kind of deck. And I like the choices. I love Freezer Burn. I think this card is criminally underplayed. And as a 3 diff that your opponent can't really interact with outside of character abilities, this one is sick. This one is absolutely what a deck like this really needs. So very, very excited for these guys. Go check out Undefeated at Locals, and congratulations to both Marven and Nick. Next up, we have Joseph Zimmerman playing Nomu. Now, I had Nomu going all the way to finals. I was getting so hyped for it, man. I thought he had it. I thought there was a play where for sure we know what is on the bottom of our deck, and there's only 2 cards, so we know what's on the top of our deck. We could reset the damage. We could pump the speed by flipping a foundation. I thought we had the play, and you know, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I thought that I thought Nomu was gonna make it to Grand Finals and then play against Endeavor 2. Neither of those decks made it, but this is definitely something to look at. If you're a 5-hand size enthusiast, if you're a Nomu enthusiast, I think this is the lineup to play. I like all of these choices. I think all of these choices are really good. Even, you know, the Harm Jab is a +1 high block that adds a card to your hand, right? We're going to sometimes build attacks face down with Harden Chop. We need ways to get him back. Harden Chop is super important for this deck because we're just trying to create any opening. And the low zone mix is not something everyone's, you know, ready for. They're ready for all these mids. Then all of a sudden you have the one low attack, and the one low attack is so punishing to block that it makes so much sense. It's also our breaker block for early on, right? If we sometimes the Nomu response isn't going to quite get us there, so we got to put one block up, and having one breaker block really does make a little bit of a difference, I find. But other than that, you're going to see classic Earth Nomu, lots of spam, nail bonding because we get hit a lot, snack time to give us some kind of deadlock threat. Replace, you know, whatever one with nature we might have been doing. 5-handers don't care too much, except when they're TetsuTetsu thrashing decks. You gotta have that discard outlet because there's definitely some plays that we saw over the weekend where we thought, okay, if we're very, very brave and we think we're gonna check incredibly well, we can dump our hand, play cards in a weird order to get TetsuTetsu thrashing out on the board. And I'm gonna spoil it for you guys. It helps you check well, right? It's very difficult to check poorly when you play a TetsuTetsu thrashing because if there's a foundation on top of your deck, you'll know it. And if there's not, you will just build the foundation. So even if you check a 3, it's kind of like you checked a 4 compared to where you were beforehand, right? So this one is very, very strong as long as you put buckets of damage on it. Next up, oh, sorry. Also, in case I didn't mention it, Joseph Zimmerman, Seraph's Haven, got 4th place. This is 4th place, Nomu on Earth. So this is, we're now into our semi-finalist decks. And this is Seraph's Haven, Joseph Zimmerman on Earth. Next up, we have Rochester CCG's Sean O'Brien. 3rd place, Sean O'Brien, playing the sweet old lady herself, Recovery Girl. There's too many cards here to really talk about. What I am going to talk about is what are these low blocks, dude? We are disrespecting the low zone so hard that you got to make a mental note of this, guys. If you're out here, you're trying to kill these Life Recovery Girl decks, and if you're especially trying to kill someone who says they net deck Sean O'Brien or Sean O'Brien himself, look at these. What are 5 low blocks in a tournament that indiscriminate shock 1, which they didn't fight. They didn't fight in top 16, right? Toru and I don't know if Sean fought. Oh, he fought 4th Kahn. He fought a 4th Kahn, and I mean, I get it. We have resets. We have lost and fought, but man, 5 low blocks and it's just bench presses and self sacks. That takes balls. What can I say, man? That takes courage. Absolutely, that takes courage. He got so far with so few low blocks in a format that's chock full of indiscriminate shock decks. And Recipro Burst decks. Right? Even if you reset the speed, I mean, 5 low blocks? I can't, dude. I can't. He's too good. He's too good. He can't be stopped. The Bewildered damage reduction tech, you know, the on-demand low block with Lost and Thought. I mean, he's too good. What can I say? Then we have PPG's Tony Tu playing Good Symbol Jiro. This is the Jiro we all warned you about, by the way. This is not Staff Strike Jiro. This is what if Jiro just played all the good ones. What if Jiro just put the futures now, played all the good ones, and there's no Staff Strike, there's no combo gimmicks. I'm just gonna point this out. I had it sort of like this before, right? Look at how many set 1 and set 2 cards there are. Right? Everything except the future is now here, set 1 and 2. set 2, the new training method is our only set 2 foundation. So Tony talked about it in his interview, right? And he said, I needed to make a deck with just the cards I have. I haven't been in the game for a minute. He hadn't been collecting for a minute. So he picked up Jiro. He built a deck with the cards he had, which is very impressive. But the only card from after set 2. What about the side? Side, same thing in the side. So the only card from after set 2 is the promo Futures Now, which a lot of people have a bunch of copies of. I don't know what it's listed for on TCG Player, but I bet it's like $10 at the most. It can't be much, right? So this is something I've done before on stream. And now, let me start off by saying that all these other decks have plenty of set 4 and 3 cards, right? I picked a bad example. Okay, this is a bad example too. Where's it good? This is, all right, well, these aren't sorted by, there you go. There's your set 4, right? So, but as far as like a few very specific characters, they're getting away with just playing the best cards that came out early on. And it's a little frustrating. It's just a little frustrating to see it happen more often than I'd like to admit. That's the one thing I do like about the Order 4th kind decks winning, is that they're playing quite a bit of set 4 cards. We're seeing newer stuff get played. And so, again, this is just the Jiro deck that it feels like we all warned everyone about, and it did show up. I believe the Good Symbol non-staff strike did top one of the RLEs. I could be wrong, but this is the one that I expect more people to play going forward. This one is so difficult to deal with, even without One with Nature. I don't think Jiro ever really needed the One with Nature, right? Because if she discards a card for +2 to your block mod and +1 damage, she can build it into her card pool with the way the deck is currently built for +1 speed and +1 damage, and then also gets to benefit from building that foundation later. So I don't think the One with Nature hit was a very big deal for Jiro at all. I don't think this deck was missing this at all. It still plays the 2 check, right? We just don't play any 3 diffs. We have 12 2 diffs, and one of them plays around the 2 check. The rest is spam. And we have some of the best spam on this symbol. So very, very strong stuff coming out of Jiro again. You know, just lots of early game staples. And it's very interesting to see that you can still pretty much roll up with a set 1 deck with a little bit of back alley haymaker magic, maybe some of that early DLC, and you can go far. He could have won the tournament, right? He got all the way to grand finals, and he easily could have won. And yeah, this is, chat's pointing out, this is a set 2 deck with the Futures Now in it, and that just goes to prove that Universes is not a pay-to-win game. Last but not least, we have Salvador Sermon on the Air Toru 2. Now, if you said you had Toru 2 pegged to win this event, I'd call you a liar. If you said you had Toru 2 pegged to be Swiss champ, I'd call you a liar. I don't think anyone had Air Toru 2 on their radar. Every time I've seen this deck, it's been a good symbol deck or a water symbol deck, and it's almost always had the sideboard if it's on the air symbol. And this time we flipped the script. We've said it for a very long time. If you're going to play Toru 2 at all, play Toru 2 main board. Make the Toru 2 deck, right? Here we have the Jiro in the sideboard, which is wild. That Salvador said, I think they only sided into it one time to win game 2 against Recovery Girl after losing game 1. And then they tied in rounds. And so they did not lean on the Jiro throughout the event. At least that's what I've been told. But this deck is so cool. And throughout the week, if you didn't get to watch the games, please go back and watch them. Check out Salvador's defense. He plays perfect defense. He plays immaculate defense throughout the entire time he's on stream. I have bellyached and complained to myself that Air's defense is not that strong and that it lacks card draw, and that's a big part of it, right? We only have latent skill to filter. You have to guess correctly with Destined if we want to, you know, if we're not Jiro, if we're not sighted. This is a big reason why I think Jiro works on Air compared to other characters, is because she doesn't have to guess with Destined to get that extra card advantage. And it's something this symbol does kind of lack. And so to increase our consistency, we have like a 1 of cat pounds, which is absolutely wild. And we have 3 copies of latent skill and a signature right swing, which is still, you know, way less than other decks we're going to see on this top cuts list. The amount of card draw that All Might decks have, that Back Alley Haymaker Valiant Assault decks have. You know, I mean, even the Chaos decks, who are in kind of a similar boat, you know, the Chaos deck is running Double Jab Pummel, which is the same style of effect that Air usually has in that draw 2, discard 2 sort of realm. So it's pretty interesting that this is the deck that won the event. I do think that Air Toru is positioned well for the meta. If you guys watched my stream, I made a deck called Pasadena Meta Call. I made an Air Toru 1 deck with a lot of the same ideas, but what I didn't account for is the fact that Toru 2 puts that fake speed on every single attack. He actually gets to play Indiscriminate Shock and have it be relatively unblockable, right? And then on top of that, bouncing the attack is more costly than just flashing it. If you just flash it, you still have to block it. It can still wear bonuses from other places. You know, they did successfully play it and they can keep going. But for things like Staff Strike Jiro, for things like Jiro wanting to load up the card pool for a bunch of bonuses and then just play the future is now, bouncing the attack matters more. And so that is the meta read I didn't have, was the fact that bouncing the attack was going to be as pertinent as it is against characters like Fourth Kind, like Jiro, even the other 5-handers, right, in the format. I mean, Recovery Girl doesn't get hurt by it too much, but Nomu trying to combo out and play 3-4 copies of TetsuTetsu Thrashing and Relentless Barrages, there's a world where they have to build more foundations than they'd really like to. So, I mean, an absolutely perfect meta read, absolutely perfect defensive play. Just, I mean, building 3, blocking with 3 cards, and staying alive, taking like no damage, just defending, you know, to every resource that he had was so good. I'm incredibly impressed by Salvador's play. And a little bit of a spoiler, I'm working on getting the interview. I haven't done the orange card, blue card in a hot minute. Hoping to bring back the interview podcast style thing. And Salvador seems like an excellent pick to do that. So I can't wait to talk about this deck more. I got a little bit of a chance you can maybe see on my stream chat, Micro Switch there. They're telling me a little bit about the deck from when I was live streaming. They were on their way home and on the chat. So that was very cool. But I want to save most of that for an interview, and we can really hear from the horse's mouth themselves. So congratulations to Salvador. Absolutely, just like I said, immaculate defensive play, an absolutely perfect meta read, just absolutely wonderful. Like the toolboxing for our momentum, we've got Jolt is super strong. I didn't really talk about the deck, right? Because it's, I mean, let's be real. Like, we look at it, there's the Toru specific set 3 cards, right? Then there's Cat Pounce, which is very interesting. Web of Blades from set 4, and then Cheerleader. And then, oh, and Basic Trading is, so we got like the spams from set 3, right? But so much of the deck is set 1, so much of it is a charge lineup that you're familiar with. So it's very much set 1, set 3, right? Which that's what set 3 really did. It really helped out Air, and it really helped out Earth. And so as far as the deck goes, it's a lot of stuff that you're used to. But man, it really came together this weekend, and it put on a show for us. Again, absolutely just the perfect meta call, the perfect meta read, and I'm really excited to see the Air symbol show up and show out in a big way. So again, congratulations to Salvador on the win. Very excited to see that. Very excited for a hometown hero, for a hometown California player to win the event. That's always a feel-good moment. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. Which decks did you guys like the most? Which ones do you want to take to your locals? And if you had a favorite match from the weekend, let me know, so I can go back and watch it and I can enjoy it too, because I didn't get to watch all of the the tournament games throughout the weekend. I saw almost all of Top Cuts, and I watched Grand Finals all the way through. But I want to know, what was your guys' favorite moments throughout the weekend? And just a very quick plug, if you haven't signed up for the webcam regional, the first webcam regional of season 2, the Unfun Stuff webcam RLE, please go do so now. Spots are going to fill up fast, and it's your first opportunity to get those season 2 alternate art character cards. Asui, Ochako, Jiro, Momo, a lot of fan favorites there. So go sign up now. You don't want to miss out on your chance to get those cards first, and it's going to be a fun time. It always is. So again, that's my take on the top 16 list. Let me know down in the comments below if I got anything wrong. If there's anything that you guys thought was really cool that I missed, please let me know. I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.